Hello again, it's Trevor from Alan's Music Centre, here with another next daily addition to the Hobby Organist's channel. Today I thought we'd do something a little bit different from a hints and tips one and revisit one of our packs that we do for Lowrey organs. We had a phenomenal response to the theatre organ demonstration that we did a couple of weeks ago, where I showed off the sounds that you could get from the theatre organ pack. And one of the things that struck us about that is that particular pack had been around for a long time. That pack has been compatible with Lowrey organs right back to the SU series. So if you have a Royale, Sensation, all those organs, you could use the theatre organ pack. But alongside that, there's always been another pack called the Famous Names pack. And that's always been sort of a bit of a standard. And like all these things, a bit like the theatre organ pack, it's been there for a long time and we're kind of taking it for granted. So I thought it'd be nice to spend a bit of time just revisiting the sounds that are in this pack, because this was one of the very first packs that we did for the Lowrey organs, and we've updated it and adapted it for all of the Lowrey organs. So again, this is a pack that you can get for a Sensation, a Stardust, for the A series, so it will work in the Prestige, the Legend, the Symphony Showcase, Sterling Edition, Liberty, and we've done an E series version of it, so it works in the Fanfare and Marquee and the Grand Marquee and the Aria. So it's, again, alongside the theatre organ pack, it's the only pack that we do that actually will work in all the Lowrey organs. And the idea behind it was to create some registrations which were kind of the very popular ones, and one of the ones that we get asked most often to recreate sounds from particular artists or particular bands, or just for particular styles of music. So we've got the pack loaded in. I've got my booklet opened up here, and let's have a look what we've got on here. So let's go to USB, load presets, and the first one that comes up is one that's called Orchestral Ballads. Let's put that on there, Orchestral Ballads, load all. And we'll go to Bank A, because they always get loaded into Bank A. And this registration tallies in with a question that we had a while ago about the pieces that we use on the Lowrey songs. And remember, I did a video describing how to play the Lowrey fanfare. Very dramatic. Well, one of the other pieces of music that you can download free of charge from the website is a piece of music called One Love. And these registrations that we just loaded in Orchestral Ballads actually are perfect for playing that particular song. In fact, they are the inspiration for these registrations. So if you have your Famous Names pack, load in the first track, Orchestral Ballads, and the first preset, A1, is perfect for playing One Love. Almost forgot how to play that song. It's a bit embarrassing when you forget one of the songs that you wrote yourself. Should have got the music. But those registrations are beautiful, and what's nice about it is they use a style that you may not have found before. It's a wonderful Broadway ballad for playing songs like that, beautifully orchestrated, an incredible introduction, but you don't find it under the ballad category. It's actually found under the Broadway category. It's called soliloquy, so it's from like show music, so they put it under Broadway, but it's a fantastic ballad registration. So that first set of presets, I really love the sounds on that. The second one, second set on this Bank A is called Big Film Ballad. So it's designed to sort of do the more dramatic kind of music for movies and or orchestral ballads, and so it uses a style they call epic movie, and it gives that wonderful dramatic feel to it. One of the songs I play with that is the love theme from Superman. It's called Can You Read My Mind? You could play those are suggested in the notes up here, My Own True Love. It uses a beautiful solo horn sound. So that first set on the first track, orchestral ballads, you've got some lovely romantic stuff there and some dramatic stuff in the second set. So there's two sets there, A1 to 5 and 6 to 10. The next set is not divided up, it's actually all set of 10, and these are recreating the sound of the Mantovani Orchestra, a sound very, very popular in Europe for playing all of our sort of romantic string kind of pieces. Of course, the classic Charmaine that we all learnt to play when we were learning to play, where we'd kind of... but we set this style up with a lovely waltz for playing that style of music, and the registrations start off with kind of a softer string. And as you go through the registrations, the string orchestra kind of builds, so you get fuller strings, you get the AOC comes in, so you get harmony on there. So. We did some accordion registrations there with lovely musette number 9. Your popular waltzes with these registrations, lovely strings. And of course, remember of all these registrations, on Tom's video earlier on this week, he talked about using the lock feature. So that yes, we have set these registrations and presets up using a waltz rhythm, but if you want to change the rhythm, you can change the rhythm to the one you want. Use the lock feature on your particular organ. On this organ up here on the locks button, if you have a sensation or a stardust, it'll be down in this corner. It will say accompaniment lock, and that will allow you to keep your own rhythm and still go for all these different presets. So that was the Mantovani sets on number 2. Some beautiful string sounds there. I'm quite chuffed with where they sound. I mean, it's funny. These kind of packs, we don't really sit down very often and get a chance to actually play through them ourselves. So this is quite good fun. We go for track 3. This is something that is such a popular sound in England I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but certainly in the UK, if you're going to show anybody an electronic organ, one of the sounds that they always love to hear is the sound of the panpipes. And as we say in the booklet here, there's only one song you can play with the panpipes, and that's the incredible Lonely Shepherd. And we set up the registrations on here using a style called Roses, and that has a beautiful introduction. So if we play that, of course this piece of music starts with a minor chord, so it gets lovely. And they've got lovely solo panpipes. Lovely sound. And what we tend to do with these registrations, when you're doing something like that, is we start off with the basic solo sound, and then we move on and add something to it. Not necessarily in the right hand. In this particular set of registrations, on the second one we add in a choir in the left hand. And then finally on the third one we add the choir to the right hand as well, and we put some AOC so it gives you the harmony. Have a second panpipe, because one of the nice things you can do on the Lowrey organs, we can edit the sound and adjust them, so we can take the regular panpipe and do things to it to make it sound different. So the panpipe too, we kind of put a bit more breath on it. I'm using the glide there to give it a bit of... Maybe that'd be a video for tomorrow if I go off on the tangent to talk about how to use the glide with the foot switch. So we may talk about that tomorrow. The second half of this bank of registration is called Pipes and Piano, because the first half is the panpipes. The second half is a tribute to the Richard Clayderman, who's one of the, well, I think we say in here is actually the best-selling pianist in the world. Again, I'm not sure if he's known outside Europe, but in Europe he's an incredibly talented guy. A lot of people don't realise that Alan's Music Centre actually rents out grand pianos to entertainment venues local to us, and actually we rented a grand piano once to Richard Clayderman, and he was a very, very nice guy apparently to the delivery guys, and very, very happy with the piano. Sometimes when you deliver to these very famous successful stars they can be prima donnas, but he was a very down-to-earth, very nice guy. Anyway, so his most popular song was a song called Ballad Pour Adelaide. So the registrations we set up on this one are there to sort of simulate for playing that song. We did a lovely octave piano actually on this. But we start off with number 6, which is Richard's piano. And we did two versions of it. 6 doesn't have any touch sensitivity. The 7th does. Means you can get more expression into it. So you can get this lovely. In the middle we have this lovely octave piano. Then some big strings to finish. One of the things, actually, again, maybe a good thing to talk about in another video is this idea of using touch sensitivity. If you can get used to that and just work a bit more with your hands, it's amazing the difference you can make to the way something sounds, especially like a piano, so it has more subtlety to it, and you can get much more expression into it. So we'll talk about that another day. So they're the Richard Clayton registrations. Next up we have, on our little tour of these sounds, James Last. James Last, again, very, very popular sound in Europe, especially in the UK. If we're going to show anybody an organ, everybody asks, what does the James Last sound like? And so we do a James Last registration. But also, apart from the Mornings at 7, which is his famous Sky. Which is one of those pieces it's very, very hard to find the music for. Of course, he did some great up-tempo rock and roll kind of stuff. So on these registrations, we did the classic James Last, but we also did some fun stuff, having the whole kind of rock orchestra kind of thing going. Next up we have the Dream Team. The reason why we called this the Dream Team, it was kind of like all of the big names that are very famous for particular sounds. So for example, on the Dream Team, of course, we have the great George Shearing sound. Number 3, another classic sound. It's funny, when I was a child learning to play the organ, and I first started working at Allen's, and my dream job as a 10-year-old learning to play was to play all the songs that I heard all the demonstrators play, all the ones in the shop, and you had to have particular songs to play with particular sounds. So if you were going to demonstrate the clarinet sound to somebody, you had to know Stranger on the Shore. Clarinet there. What we did with that clarinet actually is we changed the attack on it and we took it down an octave, so you get that lovely. I've forgotten we'd done that, that's why I went to play down there. But it gives it that lovely deep tone. I'll tell you, it was great fun as a 10, 11, 12-year-old trying to find the music to things like Strangers on the Shore. When all my friends were doing all their pop songs and everything. Anyway, number 5, we had a lovely Larry Adler sound. And the signature sound really for the A-series organ is the Louis trumpet. We did this on the... Prestige DVD. But funnily enough, I was talking to somebody today about the DVDs, and we've touched on this before, the idea that some of the melodies that we used earlier on, we couldn't use known songs because we didn't want to breach copyright. But you could kind of play the first couple of bars of a song and then go off into something else. So I remember particularly on the Prestige DVD, if you watch the introduction to the Prestige DVD, we use this wonderful trumpet sound because it was first introduced on that organ and it blew us all away. It's lovely. And what we would normally play with that song is, of course, A Wonderful World. for copyright. So I wrote a little piece that started off just like that, but just went off into its own thing. That's good fun. But it's a lot. I quite like that melody. But it's a great sound, that A series trumpet sound. And of course, further on we've got some nice jazz chords. I'm using the jazz club style. I've already played that song. That's our dream team. Now we're whizzing through this pack. Oh wow, yes. Number 6, Fast Miller. I always love playing the Fast Miller stuff. Always trying to do a Glenn Miller medley at some point in any concert I'm doing. And I always love these Miller registrations exactly for doing that, because one of the fantastic thing about the styles on the Lowrey, I mean they are all fantastic. For me, is the swing stuff has such a great drive and rhythm to it. So. And when you're playing these big band numbers, you get these fantastic full sound. And what we did with these registrations, for anybody that has an A series again, you always have what they call the 0 registration, which is when you don't have any of these 10 on, you have a registration to start off with. So we set this up with the kind of introduction to American Patrol. With our crash cymbal down here on the touch bar. Out a camera sight, but it's down there. Number 1, the drums kicking. One there, number 8 for that. That's some of my favourite registrations. I love playing all that kind of stuff with the walking bass line and everything. That's our Fast Glenn Miller. What we came up to next? Yeah, let's have a look. Oh, Euro organs. Okay, so in the history of electronic organs, there are many sort of distinctive sounds. That have kind of become iconic. Of course, you have the sound of the Hammond organs, you have the warm Lowrey sound, and of course you have European sound, which is from the Versi and the Bohm instruments. And of course, a lot of people don't realise actually in the past that there were an enormous popularity of organs in Europe, and lots of manufacturers, especially in Italy. Italy had loads of manufacturers of organs. And so the Europeans have such a fantastic history of organ sounds. It's not as traditional, I think, as the music that we play with organ sounds. A bit more modern, a bit more at tempo. So we did a nice selection of stuff that was a bit more, say, modern, with some of the Klaus Wunderlich kind of sounds, with his clicky kind of organ sound. And do some sort of more poppy registrations with it, and some good European organs using the sort of the Italian sound. And we use some great rhythms on this, and this is the happy organ accompaniment, which is this wonderful. star. I love that final registration we used the golden harp. With an organ sound on it to give this diddly in the background while we're playing, sort of modern. Talk a lot about the golden harp. Again, another good idea for next video is it can do some really clever stuff on there. There's lots of different patterns it can do. It's not just a simple arpeggio. You can change the sound it uses, do all kinds of things. So that's another one to make on my list of golden harp. Got to talk about the glide, and we'll talk about golden harp. What have we got next up? We've got two bands. Yes, this is an interesting. Oh no, many organs. So on top of the famous European organ sounds, as we just mentioned, there are lots of famous organ sounds. So we wanted to recreate some of those. Of course, there's the classic Hammond organ sound. Can't get away from that. And so on this band, we did some registrations for playing Ethel Smith style. With a great Ethel's fast Latin style. So if you start with C, sounds. Jimmy Smith's kind of a jazz organ. Let's take a bit more for that. Great jazz organ. Great one for playing the cat. Great jazzy type things, celebrating the great sound of the classic of the Hammond organ. Next up we have two bands. Let's go on to two bands. Two bands. And so the two bands is two styles of brass band essentially. We've got a traditional brass band. In the UK we call it a Salvation Army band that are using some great brass voicing, and then the second half is a Dixieland band. So we set up the first five using this to recreate the sound of a traditional brass band. I always think of playing sort of Christmas songs with it. The way we did these registrations was we took all the brass instruments and we detuned them slightly. Not because we think brass players can't play in tune, it's natural when you get together lots of brass instruments for them not to be perfectly in tune. It's sort of physically impossible. So it's the very slight discrepancy that generates that warmth in the sound. When everything's all in sync, sometimes it can be too clean, but the warmth that's generated by things being slightly out of phase with each other is actually a very pleasing sound. We use it a lot deliberately on things like electric piano sounds. If you think of the sound of a honky-tonk piano, it's a very warm sound because it's out of tune with itself. And so the same thing with these brass band registrations. We went in and we mixed these instruments together, but we actually detuned each one slightly away from each other so you get that warmer sound. Fun doing the old Dixie band. started doing the swing stuff, so the Dixieland stuff on the Lowrey organs is just great fun to play with. So that was the Dixieland stuff. We did a lot more Dixieland registrations on the Just For You packs because it's a very popular style of music. Finally, we have we get round to, not finally, we've still got a few more to go actually. I thought 10 would be the end, but not. There's 12 tracks on this pack. Come Dancing, very popular TV series in the UK, or starts a long time ago. I'm not entirely sure when it started, but it was a professional ballroom dancing competition on the television decades ago in the UK, and then it was reinvented as an idea of getting supposedly famous people to learn how to ballroom dance and be judged and have a competition, and that went on to become the most popular TV format of the past 10 years. So people watching in America, I think, called Dancing with the Stars. I was amazed actually when I was in China last year with Ringway. I turned on the TV in my hotel room, and there they had the Chinese version of Come Dancing, and it was literally identical. Even had all the same music, same set, all the same types of characters, but they were all Chinese and they were all loving their ballroom dancing. So we did some registrations for playing the traditional ballroom tempo things. I suppose the irony is actually we did these registrations doing proper cha-chas and proper rumbas and so forth. Of course, if you do watch the show, it's very difficult to actually tell sometimes if they are playing a rumba or whether or not they're playing a paso doble, because the music doesn't seem to sort of fit in the traditional sense of what we're playing. Anyway, I won't talk about that one because I get a bit of a rant. So we've got things like great cha-chas. We use the scat voice up there, but we also revoiced the accompaniment to be scatting. So when you do the ending, I have my own little backing singers. There was some lovely rumbas. Next up we have something a bit more traditional actually. We have number 11 is our church choir, with some nice choir registrations. Again, on the A series organs, Lowrey introduced some wonderful new choir sounds, and it's always a popular sound to play on any organ. So it'd be nice to do, we thought it'd be nice to do a selection of choir sounds. Hymn harmony with that choir, and it does give it this wonderful big some lovely chapel organs. We're playing sort of the worship music, of course, the big noisy choir ones. And we do finally get to the end. track 12, which is Shadows and More. Again, very popular band, and a very popular sound from the UK is the sound of the Shadows. So we thought we'd have a bit of fun trying to recreate some of the Shadow sounds with the twinkly guitars. So we did wonderful. That's great fun. I like the Shadow stuff. We did a big orchestra on here, I think. We're doing a classic western for the scene from Magnificent Seven. Again, this is one of the styles that's been around a long time on the Lowrys. It's called classic western, and it has one of the most incredible introductions and endings I think again Bill's ever done. Oh, it's great fun. Again, if you play that with a minor. Absolutely brilliant. So they're in there. And then finally we end up with the last set, which is some Barry Manilow stuff. Confession I always used to make in my concerts is the fact that I am actually a big Barry Manilow fan. Love his music, love playing it. Been to see him in concert several times. Brilliant showman. So I wanted to put a little Barry Manilow on the end of these registrations, and so we have this Can't Smile Without You. This is the famous names pack, so hopefully that will have inspired you to look back in your piano bench, or your organ bench, or in the cupboard, and dig out the famous names registration pack and load it in your organ, and you'll find some wonderful fun sounds on there. I certainly put a smile on my face playing through them again and remembering all the different sounds. Hope you've enjoyed it, hope that makes sense. Any queries, any questions? If you haven't got a copy of the famous names, it's still available to buy for your organ. To say it works on all the Lowry organs, so it's a great one and to talk about, because it does literally apply to virtually all of our Lowry owners. Tomorrow, if I remember now, we're going to do something about Golden Harp, and we're going to talk about the foot switch for doing the glide. So hope you're staying safe, hope you're safe, keeping well, and I'll see you again tomorrow.